Come with me as I show you how I feed my family of 6 this week. One of the breakfasts that I make when I need something quick but nutrient dense is breakfast burritos. So I just warm up my tortillas in one pan. Usually I would start cooking my bacon first, but I forgot that I had it, so I didn't start it until later. But you're going to want to cook your bacon first and then warm up your tortillas and get them all laid out and ready to go. I try to use the least amount of dishes possible, so I just crack my eggs right into my pan and cook them that way. Once the bacon is done cooking, you add it to the burrito and then cook your eggs. I like to cook my eggs right in the same pan so you get that bacon grease flavor that tastes really yummy. You add your eggs to the burrito so it melts the cheese, and then whatever toppings you like, then roll it up. For lunch, I needed something easy and portable because we were going on a walk. So I just grabbed whatever I could find in the fridge. We call it a little bit of everything, and it's pretty much my kids' favorite thing to eat. So we had cuties, salami and cheese and crackers, and blueberries. Next up is chicken salad sandwiches. First, you're going to chop your parsley. I know it sounds weird, but it's delicious, trust me. Then you're going to cube up your celery into a really fine dice. And then add it to the mixture. Next up, you're going to chop some scallions. Make sure you include the white part because it gives it that nice little crunch. Juice some lemons and add it all into a bowl with some mayo. Mix it together. I use Costco rotisserie chicken that I shredded beforehand. So then I just pull it out of the refrigerator and dice it up really finely. Mix it all together. Toast your croissants with some butter in your pan and then serve it up. For breakfast on Tuesday, we just had cereal because I needed a break. We like this one because it's no added sugar and it's sweetened with date powder. I made some breakfast for myself, some cauliflower rice seasoned like hash browns. Pop an egg right in the middle and mix it all together. Add some cheese and salsa and voila, a breakfast bowl. One of my kids' favorite things to eat is elote, so you just shuck the corn. If you have not bought pre-shucked corn, boil it in water for about 5 minutes and then you take it out and let it cool down. Once it's cooled, you can use a spatula to cover it in mayo and then generously sprinkle on the Parmesan cheese and tahini. Looking forward in the meal plan, I had a lot of things that needed either beans or chicken broth, so I made my own with some leftover rotisserie bones that I saved in the freezer and some scraps from onions and celery and carrots. So I added it all to my Instant Pot with some water, cooked it for 2 hours, strained out the bones and the vegetables, and then poured the rest into these mason jars. A fond memory that I have is cleaning the beans in the morning before school, where we pick out any dirty looking beans or any rocks that we can find. Give them a good rinse and then strain the water out and refill it with fresh water before you start chopping your onions and whatever else you want. I do diced onions, a bunch of garlic, a couple of bay leaves, salt, pepper, and some cumin. I don't really measure anything, I just kind of eyeball everything, but I added a big jar of chicken broth and then topped the rest off with water. Cook it for 30 minutes in the Instant Pot, and then when you're done, portion it out into your storage containers. I had some leftover shredded beef to use up, so I warmed it up in a pan and then layered it with some chips, cheese, beans, more cheese, and some olives for some quick, easy nachos. And definitely don't forget to make the salsa. Save yourself some dishes and skip the plates, put the pans right on the table and dig in. And the last thing that night was to start the sourdough so I could bake it in the morning and have it ready for lunch. Once every month or two, I make breakfast cookies for the kids, and needless to say, they are a hit. It's pretty much the same ingredients as overnight oats, but made in cookie form. So you just mix all your ingredients together. Instead of using egg, I use chia seed. Once you mix all the wets and then mix all the dries, and then you mix them together, add in your toppings, scoop it onto the tray, bake it, and enjoy with a cup of coffee and a wonderful view. For lunch, we had cheesy bean tostadas, recipe courtesy of my friend Gina. So on the stovetop, you're going to grab your pot and warm up your beans. I like to let them warm up and then drain out as much water as I can. I didn't drain enough from this because I only had one hand. But anyways, mash them up, put in a heinous amount of butter and cheese, stir it up, and it is bomb. Then you're going to grab your tostada shells, put beans, cheese, sour cream, salsa, and avocado. The sourdough loaf was ready just in time for lunch. We had grilled cheese and tomato soup, so I add my soup and my milk to a pan and heat it up that way. We like our sandwiches cut into sticks, so it's much easier for dunking. For breakfast the next morning, I made a sourdough Dutch baby. We've made it before, but never with sourdough, and it was delicious. So you prep your sourdough the night before by feeding it, and then when it's time to measure in the morning, measure your maple syrup first, so that way your starter doesn't stick to the inside of your measuring cup. Mix all your ingredients together, your starter, your syrup, your vanilla, your cinnamon, and your 6 eggs. Stir it all together really well and then melt about 1/3 of a stick of butter into your cast iron. Pour in your ingredients and pop it in the oven. You can serve it with fruit or maple syrup. For lunch, we made one of my favorite pasta recipes, pasta with tomato cream sauce. So you chop your onion into a really fine dice and you cook it with some oil and some butter and some garlic. Pour 2 cans of tomato sauce in and let it simmer for about 30 minutes. Then get your water boiling and boil your fettuccine. Don't forget to stir your sauce. Before you strain your pasta, save about a cup of the pasta water in case you need to thin out your sauce. Once the sauce has gotten a little bit darker, about 30 minutes later, take it off the heat and add a cup of heavy cream. Give it a good stir until it's a nice light orange color. Add some Parmesan cheese, mix it around again, and then add it to your pot of pasta. I have a kid who doesn't love eggs, so I have to try to dress them up a little bit. So this morning we had toasted Hawaiian roll egg sandwiches. Nothing fancy, you're just going to cook up your eggs, add some cheese to your bread, layer it all together, brush some garlic butter on top, and pop it in the oven to melt the cheese. After grocery shopping, we needed something quick and easy, so we swung by Trader Joe's and grabbed these pastry bites with caramelized onion and feta and these garlicky noodles and added some rotisserie chicken, and it was good. On Fridays, we always have pizza, so we've been really liking having white sauce instead of red lately. So you just melt some butter in a pan and add some garlic and then the same amount of flour. Stir it up and let it cook for a minute, and then you add whatever kind of milk you're going to use. For pizza, I usually use heavy cream, so it's a little thicker, and I like to add cream cheese, salt, and pepper. And then when it's done, you just take it off the heat and add some Parmesan, stir that in, and your white sauce is done. I did a sourdough crust again this week, and instead of using my rolling pin and smashing out all the bubbles, I tried to hand stretch it, and it turned out much better than I had expected. Once your dough is stretched, you just add your sauce, and then you start adding your toppings. I like to put a little bit of cheese on the bottom before I start adding my toppings, so it gives the toppings something to stick to, and then a little more cheese on top. Pop them in the oven. And while they're cooking, I usually melt some butter and add some grated Parmesan, garlic, salt, and a little bit of pepper to brush on the crust. And those are our meals for the week. Thanks for watching.